Hello, everyone. You've spent too much time on others. What does it truly cost you? Think about it. How often do you put others before yourself? How many times have you set aside your own dreams, your own growth, your own well-being just to meet the expectations of those around you? It feels like the right thing to do, doesn't it? To be there for your family, your friends, your colleagues, to be the one they can rely on. But at what price? Time is the one resource you can never get back. Every moment you spend prioritizing someone else's vision over your own, you are making an unspoken sacrifice. You are giving away the hours, the energy, and the potential that could have been poured into your own progress. And yet, so many of us do it without even realizing. We tell ourselves that we'll get to our own goals later, that we'll start focusing on ourselves when the timing is better. But later never comes, and better timing is illusion. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself what you could have accomplished by now if you had given yourself even half of the dedication you've given to others? How many dreams have you postponed? How many goals have you abandoned? How many times have you silenced your own needs just to avoid disappointing someone else? And here's the hardest truth of all. Most people don't even notice the sacrifices you make. They accept your help. They take what you give, and then they move on. Meanwhile, you're left exhausted, unfulfilled, and wondering why you feel so stuck. Because the reality is, when you prioritize everyone but yourself, you slowly fade into the background of your own life. It's not selfish to focus on yourself. It's necessary. Because if you don't, who will? If you don't set boundaries, others will continue to take from you. If you don't chase your own ambitions, you will spend your life building someone else's. If you don't take control of your time, the world will dictate where it goes. So ask yourself again, what does it truly cost you? And more importantly, how much longer are you willing to pay the price? The most successful people don't chase approval, they build their own path. Look around and you'll see that most people are waiting for permission. They hesitate to take action because they want validation. They seek approval from family, friends, society, anyone who can reassure them that they are making the right choice. But the truth is, the people who achieve greatness don't wait for approval. They move forward despite doubt, despite criticism, despite the discomfort of being misunderstood. Success isn't about fitting in, it's about standing out. And to stand out, you have to be willing to walk a path that no one else sees. That means making decisions that others might not agree with. It means pursuing ideas that seem unconventional. It means refusing to let the fear of judgment hold you back, because the moment you start living for the approval of others, you surrender control of your own life. Think about the people who have changed the world, innovators, leaders, creators. They weren't concerned with pleasing everyone. They weren't looking over their shoulders, waiting for a nod of approval. They were too busy building, too busy pushing forward, too busy believing in their vision, even when no one else did. That's what separates those who lead from those who follow. But approval is tempting. It feels good to be liked, to be accepted, to have people agree with you. Yet, the need for approval is a dangerous trap. It keeps you playing small. It forces you to adjust yourself to fit into someone else's expectations. It makes you compromise on your own dreams just to avoid disapproval. And before you know it, you're living a life that isn't even yours. Success requires courage. The courage to take risks, the courage to make mistakes, the courage to be different. And most of all, the courage to keep going even when no one claps for you. Because the people who wait for approval waste years, sometimes even lifetimes, seeking validation that never truly comes. Meanwhile, the ones who build their own path, they create opportunities. They shape their own destiny. They become the kind of people that others look up to, not because they chased approval, but because they dared to move without it. So the question isn't whether people approve of your path. The question is, do you have the courage to walk it anyway? What if your biggest breakthrough is waiting on the other side of your distractions? Most people don't fail because they lack talent, intelligence, or potential. They fail because they are constantly distracted. Every day, we are pulled in 1,000 different directions. social media, endless notifications, other people's opinions, and responsibilities that have nothing to do with our true purpose. We tell ourselves we'll focus later, that we'll get serious when the timing is right. But the truth is, distractions are stealing more from us than we realize. Imagine what would happen if, for just 1 year, you removed the noise. If you stopped scrolling mindlessly. If you stopped saying yes to things that don't serve you. If you stopped wasting your time on people who drain you. What if all the energy you pour into distractions was redirected into your growth, your vision, your future? The difference would be life-changing. Distractions don't just delay success, they destroy it. They keep you in a cycle of almost making progress, but never quite getting there. They make you feel busy without being productive. They give you the illusion of movement, but in reality, you're just running in place. And the most dangerous part? You don't even notice it happening. You wake up months or years later, wondering why nothing has changed. But what if the success you've been waiting for is already within reach? What if everything you need to break through is already inside you, just buried under all the distractions? The focus you need is there. The discipline you need is there. The ideas, the talent, the ability, it's all there, but you have to clear the space to access it. The world will always try to pull you away from your purpose. There will always be something demanding your attention, something trying to keep you comfortable, entertained, or distracted. But comfort doesn't lead to breakthroughs. Focus does. Discipline does. The ability to say no to the things that don't matter so you can say yes to the things that do. So ask yourself, what if your next level, your greatest achievement, the moment that changes everything, is just beyond the distractions you refuse to let go of? What if your breakthrough isn't waiting for the perfect opportunity, but for you to finally focus long enough to see it? If you don't focus on yourself, someone else will decide your future for you. Life is constantly pulling you in different directions. Every day, people tell you what you should do, who you should be, and what path you should take. Parents have expectations, society has norms, and friends have opinions. If you are not intentional about your own life, you will find yourself living out someone else's vision instead of your own. Think about it. How many decisions have you made just to keep others happy? How many times have you set aside your own desires to meet expectations that were never truly yours? It starts small, a career choice influenced by family, a relationship you stayed in because it felt safe, a dream you abandoned because others said it wasn't practical. Over time, those small compromises add up, and before you know it, you are walking a path that doesn't belong to you. The world has no problem deciding for you. If you don't define your own priorities, someone else will fill that space. Employers will dictate how much of your time is theirs. Society will tell you what success should look like. People around you will impose their own fears, doubts, and limitations onto your life. And if you aren't careful, you will wake up years later wondering why you feel unfulfilled, disconnected, and lost. But here's the truth. Your future is too valuable to be left in the hands of others. No one else can live your life for you. No one else will fight for your dreams the way you will. No one else will invest in your growth if you don't take the lead. You must be the one to decide who you want to become, what you want to achieve, and how you want to live. But focusing on yourself is not selfish, it's survival. It's recognizing that your time, energy, and potential are limited resources, and you cannot afford to waste them on a life that isn't yours. It's about setting boundaries, saying no to what doesn't align with your vision, and refusing to let others dictate your direction. So the question is simple. Will you take control of your own future, or will you let the world decide for you? The choice is yours, but if you don't make it, someone else will. Growth isn't selfish, it's necessary. Are you ready to step into your full potential? Too many people hold themselves back because they fear that focusing on their own growth makes them selfish. They worry about outgrowing their relationships, leaving others behind, or being seen as self-centered. But the truth is, refusing to grow doesn't help anyone. Shrinking yourself to make others comfortable only keeps you stuck. And staying the same doesn't serve the world, it limits it. Imagine if the greatest leaders, innovators, and creators had decided they didn't want to grow because they were afraid of standing out. What if they had chosen to stay small just to avoid making others uncomfortable? The world would have been robbed of their ideas, their influence, and their impact. Growth is not about leaving others behind. It's about becoming the best version of yourself so you can contribute at the highest level. But growth isn't easy. It requires sacrifice. It demands that you step outside your comfort zone, challenge your own limitations, and push past fear. It means making choices that others may not understand. It means investing in yourself, even when no one else does. It means believing in your potential, even when doubt tries to creep in. The most dangerous thing you can do is settle for less than you are capable of. When you refuse to grow, you limit not only yourself, but also those around you. People are inspired by action, by courage, by transformation. When you grow, you show others what's possible. You become an example of what happens when someone refuses to stay the same. So the real question is, are you ready? Are you ready to stop playing small? Are you ready to let go of the fear of what others will think? Are you ready to embrace the discomfort that comes with leveling up? Because your full potential is waiting, but it won't chase you. You have to step into it. You have to decide that staying the same is no longer an option. Growth isn't selfish. It's the only way to become who you were meant to be. The world doesn't need more people who are afraid to rise. It needs people who are bold enough to chase their full potential. The choice is yours. Will you step into it, or will you let fear keep you where you are? You don't need permission to prioritize yourself, so why are you still waiting? Too many people live their lives seeking validation for choices that only they can make. They wait for approval to chase their dreams, to set boundaries, to put their own needs first. They hesitate, wondering if it's okay to focus on themselves, if it's acceptable to say no, if it's selfish to choose their own growth over the expectations of others. But the truth is, no one is coming to give you permission. The only person who can decide to prioritize you is you. Think about how often you've put yourself last. How many times have you ignored your own needs because you didn't want to disappoint someone else? How many dreams have you delayed because you were too afraid of what others might think? You tell yourself you'll focus on yourself later, after you take care of everyone else, after you meet every demand, after you prove yourself to people who may never even notice your sacrifice. But later never comes, and before you know it, years have passed and you're still waiting for a green light that was never necessary in the first place. Prioritizing yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. If you don't take care of your mental, emotional, and physical well-being, who will? If you don't create space for your own growth, who will do it for you? No one else knows the full weight of what you carry. No one else understands the dreams burning inside of you, and no one else is responsible for making sure you live a life that fulfills you. That responsibility belongs to you alone. The reality is people will always have opinions. Some will question your choices. Some will judge you for putting yourself first. But their opinions don't pay your bills. Their approval won't bring you peace. Their validation won't create the future you want. So why let their voices dictate your life? You don't need permission to take a break. You don't need permission to say no. You don't need permission to go after what sets your soul on fire. The only thing you need is the courage to stop waiting and start acting, because the moment you decide to prioritize yourself, everything changes. So what are you still waiting for? At the end of the day, your life is yours to live. No one else will carve out time for your growth. No one else will silence your distractions, and no one else will prioritize your future. If you don't take control, the world will decide for you. You don't need permission to chase your dreams, set boundaries, or step into your full potential. Growth isn't selfish, it's necessary. Focusing on yourself isn't neglecting others. It's ensuring you have the strength, clarity, and direction to make a real impact. The biggest breakthroughs come when you finally stop waiting and start acting. The only question left is, are you ready? Because the life you want isn't waiting, it's moving. And if you don't claim it, someone else will. Thank you for your time, your focus, and your willingness to step into the best version of yourself. Now, Go make it happen.